My neighbor called. Check your security camera at 2 p.m. every Tuesday. What I found, then I. If I hadn't answered that call, I don't think my life would have split in two the way it did. It was a Tuesday. Exactly 2:07 p.m. And the words my neighbor whispered into the phone still echo in my head. Check your security camera at 2 p.m. every Tuesday. Then she hung up. No explanation. No greeting. Just that. At first, I thought it was a prank. Or maybe a mistake. But something in her voice, it wasn't playful. It wasn't dramatic. It was careful. Controlled. Like someone trying not to be overheard. My name is Amir, and until 3 weeks ago, I would have told you I had a simple, peaceful life. I work from home as a graphic designer. My wife, Sana, is a school counselor. We've been married for 4 years. No children yet, but we were trying. Or at least, I thought we were. We moved into this neighborhood last summer. Quiet street. Identical cream-colored houses. Trimmed hedges. The kind of place where people wave but don't linger too long. Our next-door neighbor, Mrs. Khalida, lives alone. Late 50s, maybe early 60s. Always polite. Always observant. The kind of woman who notices when your trash bin is out longer than usual. Sana adored her. She reminds me of my aunt, Sana would say. There's something comforting about her. And honestly, I felt the same. Mrs. Khalida would bring over fresh bread sometimes. Ask about my mother. Ask about work. She had this steady, calm presence. Which is why that phone call didn't make sense. She never called me directly. If she needed something, she would knock. Slowly. 3 gentle taps. That Tuesday, I stared at my phone long after the line went dead. Check your security camera at 2 p.m. every Tuesday. We had installed cameras when we first moved in. Nothing fancy. Just basic outdoor security, front door, driveway, and the small side path leading to the backyard gate. I hadn't checked the footage in months. I almost didn't that day either. But curiosity is a powerful thing. At 2:15 p.m., I opened the app on my phone and scrolled back to 2 p.m. The driveway camera showed nothing unusual. A delivery van passing. A stray cat crossing the street. The front door camera, empty. Then I tapped on the side path camera. At exactly 2:03 p.m., the gate opened. My chest tightened. It wasn't forced open. It wasn't broken. It was unlocked. And walking through that gate was Sana. I felt a strange wave of relief at first. Of course it was her. It's her house too. Why wouldn't she use the side gate? But then I remembered something. Sana works until 4 p.m. on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday. I replayed the clip. She moved quickly. Not running. Not panicked. But purposeful. She glanced behind her before closing the gate. Then she disappeared out of frame, toward the back door. I checked the timestamp again. 2:03 p.m. I told myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe she took a half day. Maybe she wasn't feeling well. Maybe she forgot something at home. Yes, that made sense. I switched to the backyard camera. She entered through the back door with a key. Normal. Then, 3 minutes later, the back door opened again. And someone else stepped inside. A man. I couldn't see his face clearly. The camera angle caught only his side profile. He wore a gray shirt. Dark trousers. Carried nothing. He didn't hesitate. He didn't knock. He walked in like he had done it before. My hands went cold. I rewound it. Watched again. The gate had already been open when he entered the side path. He didn't look around nervously. He didn't check his phone. He walked straight to my house. Straight to my back door. And Sana opened it before he even knocked. I paused the footage. For a long time, I just sat there. My mind refused to process what my eyes were seeing. No, there's an explanation. There has to be. Maybe he's a colleague. Maybe they're working on a school project. Maybe. But why at 2 p.m.? Why every Tuesday? And why didn't she tell me? I didn't confront her that evening. When she came home at 4:40 p.m., she looked the same as always. Tired. Soft smile. She kissed my forehead and asked what I wanted for dinner. Long day. I asked casually. She sighed. You have no idea. Tuesdays are exhausting. Tuesdays. I searched her face for cracks. For guilt. For anything. But she moved around the kitchen like she always did. Humming softly. Telling me about a student who needed extra support. Everything felt normal. Too normal. That night, I barely slept. Every memory from the past few months began rearranging itself in my head. Her new perfume. Subtle, unfamiliar. The way she started locking her phone face down. The sudden insistence that I don't need to pick her up from work anymore. Small things. Tiny things. Things I ignored because I trusted her. Because I loved her. The next morning, I saw Mrs. Kalita outside watering her plants. She looked up when I stepped out to get the mail. Our eyes met. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. She simply held my gaze for a moment, then nodded slightly. Like she knew I had seen it. Like she had been waiting. I walked over, heart pounding. "You called me yesterday," I said carefully. She turned off the hose. "Yes. Why?" Her eyes softened. Not pity. Not satisfaction. Something else. Concern. "I wasn't sure at first," she said quietly. "I didn't want to interfere in your marriage." The word marriage hit differently now. "But every Tuesday," she continued, "I see the same car parked 2 houses down. The same man walking to your gate. At the same time." "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. "Since November." November. That was 5 months ago. 5 months of 2 p.m. Tuesdays. 5 months of lies I never knew existed. "Why tell me now?" I whispered. She looked toward my house. "Because yesterday, something was different." My pulse quickened. Different how? She opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time, she seemed uncertain. "I think," she said slowly, "you should check next Tuesday. Watch it live." A cold wave passed through me. "Why?" She looked back at me, and for a second, I saw fear in her eyes. "Because yesterday," she said, her voice barely audible, "they weren't alone." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" She stepped back toward her door. "I might be mistaken," she said. "But next Tuesday, don't just watch the recording." She paused, her hand on the doorknob. "Be home." And then she went inside. I stood there, the morning sun too bright, the world too quiet. They weren't alone. All week, I lived in a strange fog. Sana laughed at dinner. She rested her head on my shoulder while we watched TV. She reached for my hand in bed. And every touch felt like a question. Tuesday came again. 1:52 p.m. I sat in my office, lights off, phone in my hand, security app open. The house was silent. At 1:59 p.m., my heart began to pound so hard I thought I might pass out. 2 p.m. The side gate camera flickered. The gate slowly opened. And this time, I was home. I heard the soft click of the back door unlocking downstairs. Footsteps. More than 2. I stood up, my legs unsteady. From the hallway below, I heard Sana's voice. Gentle. Calm. "Are you sure he doesn't suspect anything?" A man's voice responded, low and unfamiliar. "No. He trusts you." Then, a third voice. Soft. Nervous. "And you're certain he won't be here today?" My breath caught in my throat. I stepped toward the stairs. And, that's when the floorboard beneath my foot creaked. The voices downstairs went silent. Completely silent. And slowly, I heard footsteps moving toward the staircase. My neighbor called, "Check your security camera at 2 p.m. every Tuesday." What I found, then The footsteps stopped at the bottom of the stairs. I couldn't breathe. The house, my house, felt unfamiliar. Like I was standing inside someone else's life. For a split second, I considered pretending I had just come home. Pretending I had heard nothing. But the silence downstairs was too sharp. Too aware. They knew someone was there. I stepped forward. Each stair groaned under my weight, announcing me before I could say a word. Halfway down, I saw them. Sana stood closest to the staircase. Behind her was the man from the footage, mid-30s, neatly dressed, controlled posture. And beside him, a younger woman I had never seen before. She looked anxious, clutching a folder against her chest. No one spoke. Sana's face drained of color when she saw me. "Amir," she whispered. The man turned slowly. His eyes met mine, not with guilt, but with calculation. The younger woman looked like she might faint. I reached the bottom step. "I took the day off," I said quietly. The life felt small compared to everything else in the room. No one responded. My eyes moved from Sana to the man. Then to the stranger. I continued, my voice steadier than I felt, "we should talk." Sana swallowed. "It's not what you think." That sentence. The most fragile bridge in the world. "Then tell me what I think," I replied. She opened her mouth, but the man stepped slightly forward. My name is Farin, he said calmly. I believe I owe you an explanation. The way he said it irritated me. Polite, measured, as if we were discussing a scheduling error. You've been coming here every Tuesday, I said. Through my gate, into my house. He nodded once. Yes. Sana shot him a look, like she wished he would say less. The younger woman shifted uncomfortably. And who is she? I asked. Her fingers tightened around the folder. She looked at Sana before answering. My name is Hiba, she said softly. The room felt smaller by the second. Farin exhaled slowly. We didn't want you to find out this way. Find out what? My voice cracked despite my effort to stay composed. Sana stepped forward then. Her eyes were glossy, not dramatic tears. Real ones. Amir, please just listen. I laughed once, dry and hollow. I've been listening for 5 months. That hit. She looked down. Farin spoke again. We're not here for the reasons you're imagining. Then enlighten me. He gestured gently toward the living room. May we sit? The audacity of that request almost made me refuse out of principle. But I nodded. We sat. I remained standing. Sana sat at the edge of the couch, hands clasped tightly. Farin sat upright, composed. Hiba perched nervously beside him. The ticking wall clock suddenly felt deafening. Sana looked up at me. Do you remember November, she asked carefully, when we went for those medical tests? My stomach tightened. Of course I remembered. We had been trying for a baby for over a year. Quietly hopeful. Quietly disappointed. I nodded. She continued, her voice trembling now. The doctor asked to speak to me alone after your appointment. My pulse quickened. She said that the issue wasn't temporary. I felt the air shift. What issue? I asked, though something deep inside me already knew. Sana's voice dropped to a whisper. You can't have children, Amir. The words didn't explode. They didn't shatter anything. They just landed. Heavy. Final. The room blurred for a second. That's not, I began. The doctor said everything was fine. She didn't tell you, Sana said gently. She thought it would affect you badly. She said we should consider options privately. I stared at her. You lied to me. I was trying to protect you. The irony stung. Farin cleared his throat softly. I'm a fertility consultant, he said. Hiba is a coordinator at our clinic. I looked at him sharply. Clinic. Sana nodded, tears falling now. I didn't want to pressure you. I didn't want you to feel less. So I started exploring options quietly. The room felt like it was tilting. Options. I repeated. Hiba carefully opened the folder in her lap. Inside were documents. Medical charts. My name printed across the top of several pages. My chest tightened. You accessed my records. Sana shook her head quickly. No. We used the reports from November. The clinic just reviewed them. Farin spoke calmly. There are possibilities. Donor programs. Alternative treatments. We've been discussing them. My mind struggled to catch up. So every Tuesday, I said slowly, you bring a consultant and a coordinator into our home, without telling me. Sana's voice broke. I was afraid you'd say no before even understanding. Silence filled the space again. I looked at Farin. Why here? Why not at your clinic? He hesitated, just slightly. Sana answered instead. Because I didn't want anyone to see us there. I didn't want questions. I didn't want rumors. That made sense. Too much sense. But something still felt off. I turned to Hiba. You said earlier, you were sure I wouldn't be home. Her eyes widened slightly. I just meant, because of your schedule. But you asked if he suspected anything, I pressed. The air shifted again. Sana looked at Farin. Farin's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. I felt it then. That tiny crack in the story. I don't suspect anything, I said slowly. I know something. Sana stood abruptly. This isn't fair, Amir. I've been carrying this alone for months. Do you know what that feels like? Watching you talk about baby names. Seeing you look at cribs online. Her pain was real, raw, and it pierced through my anger. I didn't want to hurt you, she whispered. And lying doesn't hurt, I asked quietly. Tears streamed down her face. No, losing you would. That sentence froze everything. Losing me. I looked between the three of them. And then I noticed something I hadn't before. The documents in Hiba's folder weren't just medical brochures. On the top sheet was a contract. Partially visible. Highlighted lines. And beneath my printed name, another signature line, already signed, not mine. I stepped closer. Heba instinctively closed the folder halfway. Too late. Who signed that? I asked. No one answered. I looked at Sana. Her silence was louder than any confession. Amir, she began. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about hidden appointments. It wasn't just about medical options. There was a decision made. A choice finalized. Without me. I felt something inside me shift, not anger. Distance. A quiet, irreversible distance. Tell me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Sana's lips trembled. Farhan leaned forward slightly. And Heba slowly reopened the folder. The signature at the bottom of the page came fully into view. And it wasn't Sana's. It was someone else's. Someone I recognized. My heart stopped. Because the name signed beneath mine was Mrs. Khalida's.